With the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin, shot February 6, 2024 at about 7 p.m. in the building behind us, which is, of course, the Kremlin. The interview, as you will see if you watch it, is primarily about the war in progress, the war in Ukraine, how it started, what's happening, and most pressingly, how it might end.
What's going on, folks? So I watched a large portion of the Tucker interview. Obviously, it's 2 hours long. So I gave you a clip. I'm going to show you the first 2 minutes of it. Then it got a little boring for a half hour. I don't believe it's the best use of our time here. So after that, I'm going to show you just about 10 minutes of the interview that I found to be the most interesting that I saw. Hope you guys enjoy and hope you guys are even here. Dream Rare Podcast starts now. Let's see if this stays up. It's the Dream Rare Podcast. Welcome to the show. The way to get the news at the desk or on the road. Let's go. God is great and success in our control. The world is crazy, but we get better from obstacles. What's going on Facebook? What's going on YouTube? So the Tucker Carlson Vladimir Putin interview is out, and I'm going to pick a few segments that I thought were interesting, play them, and then react to them. So obviously, if you don't know yet, the interview is over 2 hours long. The full one is on tuckercarlson.com, and all copyright respect to Tucker Carlson. If you want to watch the full interview, I suggest you go to tuckercarlson.com and check it out. With that being said, here's some clips. I'm going to play the beginning intro video from him, and then the first 30 minutes is really just Putin explaining history. It's a little boring, so I wanted to get to something more interesting. Tucker kind of pressing on what's going on and why. So that's what we're going to watch. But first, here's the intro clip that Tucker uploaded the video with.
Following is an interview with the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin, shot February 6, 2024 at about 7 p.m. in the building behind us, which is, of course, the Kremlin. The interview, as you will see if you watch it, is primarily about the war in progress, the war in Ukraine, how it started, what's happening, and most pressingly, how it might end. One note before you watch. At the beginning of the interview, we asked the most obvious question, which is, why did you do this? Did you feel a threat, an imminent physical threat? And that's your justification. And the answer we got shocked us. Putin went on for a very long time, probably half an hour, about the history of Russia going back to the 8th century. And honestly, we thought this was a filibustering technique and found it annoying and interrupted him several times. And he responded he was annoyed by the interruption. But we concluded in the end, for what it's worth, that it was not a filibustering technique. There was no time limit on the interview. We ended it after more than 2 hours. Instead, what you're about to see seemed to us sincere, whether you agree with it or not. Vladimir Putin believes that Russia has a historic claim to parts of Western Ukraine. So our opinion would be to view it in that light, as a sincere expression of what he thinks. And with that, here it is. Mr. President, thank you. On February 22nd, 2022, you addressed your country in a nationwide address when the conflict in Ukraine started. And you said that you were acting because you had come to the conclusion that the United States, through NATO, might initiate a, quote, surprise attack on our country. And to American ears, that sounds paranoid. Tell us why you believe the United States might strike Russia out of the blue. How did you conclude that?
So I just wanted to be clear. Maybe I should have used different terminology. I'm not saying it's boring, but he says, let me explain in 30 seconds or a minute. And then Putin talks for 30 minutes, just explaining the slow history of hundreds and thousands of years ago. Probably hundreds, I guess it would be. So I just didn't want to use those clips for this live stream. I'm not saying it's boring. I'm not saying, I don't know. I saw someone in the comments oh, you're jealous. I'm glad Tucker did the interview. I think it's fantastic journalism. I think it's interesting, whether you hate Putin, you don't care, you're American, whatever. But that's not what I'm saying. So I'm going to just play some clips that I thought were just a little bit more entertaining. If I'm going to pick clips from a 2-hour interview, I'm not going to play you guys 10 minutes of him talking about 15th century history. I don't think that's the best use of my time here. So here's a series of, I think, 5 or 6 little clips that I chopped up from the interview. Let me know what you think. And of course, watch the whole interview at tuckercarlson.com. All credit to him.
If, he said, you don't listen to me, I'm never setting my foot in Moscow once again. Everything happened just as he had said.
Well, of course, it did come true, and you've mentioned this many times. I think it's a fair point, and many in America thought that relations between Russia and the United States would be fine with the collapse of the Soviet Union and the end of the Cold War, that the opposite happened. But you've never explained why you think that happened, except to say that the West fears a strong Russia, but we have a strong China the West does not seem very afraid of. What about Russia do you think convinced policymakers they had to take it down?
Запад боится сильного Китая больше, чем сильной России.
The West is afraid of strong China more than it fears a strong Russia, because Russia has 150 million people and China has 1.5 billion population, and its economy is growing by leaps and bounds, or 5% a year. It used to be even more. But that's enough for China. As Bismarck once put it, potentials are the most important. China's potential is enormous. It is the biggest economy in the world today in terms of purchasing power parity and the size of the economy. It has already overtaken the United States quite a long time ago, and it is growing at a rapid clip. Let's not talk about who is afraid of whom. Let's not reason in such terms. And let's get into the fact that after 1991, when Russia expected...
So I thought that was interesting. He said that America does fear China, and they do fear China more than they fear Russia. I thought it was interesting. I know Tucker's pushing back and stuff, but he's like, why does America fear Russia and not China? But you hear a lot of stuff about China, the left wing, the right wing, obviously Taiwan. So interesting kind of dialogue right there. I'm going to play a few more clips, and I meant to upload 6 clips. I'm only seeing 5. So while I'm doing this, I'm going to try to find out exactly which clip's missing so I don't mess up part of the 10-minute stream that I wanted to show you guys, because he talks about Clinton, he talks about Bush, and Putin claims that he tried many times to work with the US, but every politician came back to him and said, sorry, they don't want us to do that. So that's his take. Here it is.
We were trying to persuade them. We were saying, please don't. We are as bourgeois now as you are. We are market economy and there is no communist party power. Let's negotiate. Moreover, I have also said this publicly before. There was a moment when a certain rift started growing between us. Before that, Yeltsin came to the United States. Remember, he spoke in Congress and said the good words. God bless America. Everything he said were signals. Let us in. Remember the developments in Yugoslavia before the Yeltsin was lavished with praise?
So, I'm going to play a few more clips. Sorry about that, guys. Hopefully it works. I don't know which clip I missed because it sucks. I meant to upload 6 and I only see 5 now. So I'm like, which one isn't there? All right, let's keep going.
Manner. Yeltsin was immediately dragged through the mud, accused of alcoholism, of understanding nothing, of knowing nothing. He understood everything, I assure you. Well, I became president in 2000. I thought, okay, the Yugoslav issue is over, but we should try to restore relations. Let's reopen the door that Russia had tried to go through. And moreover, I said it publicly, I can reiterate. At a meeting here in the Kremlin with the outgoing President Bill Clinton, right here in the next room, I said to him, I asked him, Bill, do you think if Russia asked to join NATO, do you think it would happen? Suddenly he said, it's interesting. I think so. But in the evening, when we met for dinner, he said, I've talked to my team. No, it's not possible now. You can ask him. I think he will watch our interview. He'll confirm it. I wouldn't have said anything like that if it hadn't happened. Okay.
Were you sincere?
It's impossible now.
Would you have joined NATO?
Look, I asked the question, is it possible or not? And the answer I got was no. If I was insincere in my desire to find out what the leadership position was...
But if he had said yes, would you have joined NATO?
Если бы он
If he had said yes, the process of rapprochement would have commenced, and eventually it might have happened if we had seen some sincere wish on the other side of our partners. But it didn't happen. Well, no means no. Okay, fine.
Why do you think that is? Just to get to motive, I know you're clearly bitter about it. I understand. But why do you think the West rebuffed you then? Why the hostility? Why did the end of the Cold War not fix the relationship? What motivates this from your point of view?
So I found that to be one of the most interesting parts. He said that me and Bill Clinton sat down, and he even said, ask Bill Clinton. I bet he'll tell you about it. So it'll be interesting to see if Bill Clinton speaks to the press and says, yeah, he's totally right. Or if Bill Clinton says nothing, or if he says he's wrong. But he said, we tried. Bill Clinton went back to his team, came back to me and said, sorry, it's not possible. And I'm really hoping I didn't mess up these clips, because I really tried to get you guys some good stuff. But this seems to be the theme, that the president goes back to their team and they kind of shut down negotiations, according to him, obviously. Let's keep playing.
You said I was bitter about the answer. No, it's not bitterness. It's just a statement of fact. We're not bride and groom, bitterness, resentment. It's not about those kind of matters in such circumstances. We just realized we weren't welcome there, that's all. Okay, fine. But let's build relations in another manner. Let's look for common ground elsewhere. Why we received such a negative response, you should ask your leaders. I can only guess why. Too big a country with its own opinion and so on. And the United States, I've seen how issues are being resolved in NATO. I will give you another example now concerning Ukraine. The US leadership exerts pressure, and all NATO members obediently vote, even if they do not like something. Now, I'll tell you what happened in this regard with Ukraine in 2008, although it's being discussed. I'm not going to open a secret to you, say anything new. Nevertheless, after that we tried to build relations in different ways. For example, the events in the Middle East, in Iraq. We were building relations with the United States in a very soft, prudent, cautious manner. I repeatedly raised the issue that the United States should not support separatism or terrorism in the North Caucasus. But they continue to do it anyway. And political support, information support, financial support, even military support came from the United States and its satellites for terrorist groups in the Caucasus. I once raised this issue with my colleague, also the President of the United States. He says, "It's impossible. Do you have proof?" I said, "Yes." I was prepared for this conversation, and I gave him that proof. He looked at it, and you know what he said? I apologize, but that's what happened. I'll quote. He says, "Well, I'm gonna kick their ass." We waited and waited for some response. There was no reply. I said to the FSB director, "Write to the CIA, what is the result of the conversation with President?" He wrote once, twice, and then we got a reply. We have the answer in the archive. The CIA replied, "We have been working with the opposition in Russia. We believe that this is the right thing to do, and we will keep on doing it." Just ridiculous. Well, okay. We realized that it was out of the question.
Forces in opposition to you. So you're saying the CIA is trying to overthrow your government?
Ну, конечно, имелось в виду в данном случае.
Of course, they meant in that particular case the separatists, the terrorists who fought with us in the Caucasus. That's who they called the opposition.
Это вот второй момент.
This is the second point.
So, some interesting stuff there. I would love to see, I don't know that the American media is going to do this, but I would love to see their counter, or who knows what they'll say. I think I saw one of the Joe Biden guys, his name is like John Kirby or something. He was like, Tucker shouldn't be doing the interview, or, the American people stand with Ukraine and you shouldn't listen to him. It's Putin. And it's like, It's not like I believe everything he says or anything, or I believe him at all. It's like, what's your counter though? If your counter is just don't believe it, it's like, but what's your point? Like, did that not happen? Or, are these things? I don't need someone to tell me that our government clearly doesn't want Vladimir Putin in power. It's pretty obvious. I would think that they're supporting publicly the opposition leader. It's not that shocking or anything, but let's look at the last clip. And once again, I just want to say thank you to Tucker Carlson for not only doing this interview, but allowing it to be public. He doesn't bother people with copyright strikes and stuff. Usually I have to chop things into 30-second clips. It's super annoying when I'm doing reviews. But for this one, it's like I want to give as much traffic back to his website. It's tuckercarlson.com. If you like this interview, if you want to listen to the whole thing, if you want to, give them your email. The reason that I'm telling you this is because if I'm going to take clips of someone else's interview, like this many clips, I think it's only right to try to give some of the traffic back to his website and let people know if they support his journalism and the full interview to, go show him some love over there. I'm sure he's doing well. And I just want to say that. So let's watch the last clip and then I'm going to give my full response.
The third moment is a very important one. Is the moment when the US missile defense system was created. The beginning. We persuaded for a long time not to do it in the United States. Moreover, after was invited by Bush Jr.'s father, Bush Sr., to visit his place on the ocean, I had a very serious conversation with President Bush and his team. I proposed that the United States, Russia, and Europe jointly create a missile defense system that, we believe, if created unilaterally, threatens our security, despite the fact that the United States officially said that it was being created against missile threats from Iran. That was the justification for the deployment of the missile defense system. I suggested working together, Russia, the United States, and Europe. They said it was very interesting. They asked me, "Are you serious?" I said, "Absolutely."
Let me ask, what year was this?
I don't remember. It is easy to find out on the internet when I was in the USA at the invitation of Bush Sr. It is even easier to learn from someone I'm going to tell you about. I was told it was very interesting. I said, just imagine if we could tackle such a global strategic security challenge together. The world will change. We'll probably have disputes, probably economic and even political ones, but we could drastically change the situation in the world. He says yes, and asks, "Are you serious?" I said, "Of course. We need to think about it," I'm told. I said, "Go ahead, please." Then Secretary of Defense Gates, former Director of CIA, and Secretary of State Rice came in here, in this cabinet, right here at this table. They sat on this table. Me, the Foreign Minister, the Russian Defense Minister on that side. They said to me, "Yes, we have thought about it. We agree." I said, "Thank God, great, but with some exceptions."
So twice you've described U.S. presidents making decisions and then being undercut by their agents.
All right, so apparently this has been taken off of YouTube. I was kind of testing the system too. I was curious if they were going to allow clips to be played. So I guess YouTube has cut it down. Facebook has not. I don't know. I guess I'll take. Let me look if they gave me like a copyright strike or something. It just said stream is unavailable. Yeah, they're probably going to shut this down on all major platforms except for Twitter. So I would say just watch it on Twitter. Let's see what they said. Stream unavailable. Yeah, I don't know. Well, I guess that policy violations. Viva Frey has the YouTube stream working fine. Oh, well, I don't even know if I should spend any time talking about this because it's probably going to get taken down. But you could watch the full interview at tuckercarlson.com. You could watch it at X or Twitter. This is why I want to just say a few things, because as far as the full interview, I want to listen to the whole thing before I really have a huge opinion on it. But the point of this was just to see it. react to it, respond. And I think that it's really good that, say what you want about Elon Musk, it's really good that he bought X and just allowed people to even see this stuff, because I know nothing is guaranteed. I don't really expect much from Elon Musk at this point, but for a while there was just nowhere to go, no major platform that would allow this type of conversation to even be had. So the fact that he's going to allow it, yes, it's annoying that they're taking it down. Hopefully they don't go up my income or anything. That would be a huge bummer. But I figured I'd roll the dice and give it a shot. You know, it's not really it's not their content, it's his content. So the fact that let me make sure it's still like unavailable, because I'm just curious. Let's see. Is it back on or no? Or did they just cut out that part? Hold on one second. I'm gonna. Oh, it's back on. Hold on one second. Are they just gonna cut out the parts of that? That's crazy. So I guess I'll just keep talking then. I apologize for the delay. So what are they going to do? They're just going to strip out all the parts of the interview and only allow me to talk. I'll let it fly and then, see what happens after my stream, because I'm curious. It's not their content. So, anytime I've used clips of Tucker, they've never bothered me. So I figured this was kind of like a stress test too. It was like, if they take it off or if they kind of like cut the stream, it's not going to be because of copyright reasons. Like Tucker Carlson doesn't care if people use a 2-minute clip of the thing. It's more, YouTube trying to completely block that interview. It's crazy. It's interesting stuff. It says policy violations. Is what it is. I'm just going to ignore it for now. I'll take a look later, and hopefully, like, what would the policy violation be though? Like, what policy did I violate? I guess playing a clip of an interview that they don't want people to see is very fascinating stuff. I mean, it's clear what's going on to some extent. As an American citizen, you have two parties in this country, right? Outside of that interview, outside of Tucker Carlson, you have two parties, and they're essentially, in my view, holding American citizens for ransom over who we need to send money to. If we're going to help foreign countries, it is what it is. But shouldn't our government pretend to care about us first? Like, hey, let's get this border package out of the way, and then we'll give money to our allies. But that's not what you get in America. You have either the Democrats, they're holding the border purposely for ransom, pretending like we don't want border security and Republicans don't want it. And they're saying the only way you get border security is if you give $50 billion to Ukraine and $14 billion to Israel or something like that. And then Speaker Johnson comes back and he says, you know what, forget the border and forget Ukraine. We're just going to give money to Israel because they need it right now. And then the Senate goes, screw that. We're just going to give money to Ukraine, Israel, I think Gaza, and other countries. It's like we're giving money to Israel. Israel's attacking Gaza, and then we give Gaza aid. We're aiding them after the people that we're giving money to attack them. In Ukraine, it's obvious what's happening. BlackRock is going to rebuild the country to the tune of like $800 billion. And it's an open like message to us. And this is the thing too. I don't really want to bring up Trump, but it's like in many ways he inspired a lot of people. In many ways, he's like the guy stopping people from realizing that nobody's really coming to save us. And it's just kicking the can down the road. Cause it's like, this is Congress. This is Washington. One guy's not going to fix it, especially when he's not even really trying. It would take a guy really, 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 really trying to fix it. And that's not him. So it's like, of course, I want him to win over Biden to secure the border. But then it's like 4 more years of just like circusry and circles. And like, when are the American people going to realize what's really happening? When it comes to the Putin interview, I'm not like I'm not Russian. I'm not a Putin fanatic or anything. I don't really care about him. It's not my country. Just like with like Ukraine, I just want to say this. I mean, who knows what they'll do to my social media channels after I posted clips of that. But when it comes to Ukraine and Russia, I like Ukrainians and Russians. I have no problem with the people there. I don't want to see them fight each other. But as an American citizen, this is my opinion. I don't want to fund a war in another country. They have a history that overlaps. There's a lot of Russians in their cities. Like that, it's not our problem, but now it is our problem because we're funding a war. So now we're part of one side of a war that I don't want to be part of. Doesn't make me pro-Russia or pro-Putin or anti-Ukraine. None of those things. I like people from Ukraine and Russia. And then there's some shitty people from Ukraine and Russia, just like there are in America. It's like a lot of the similar stuff with Israel. I don't have a huge, I don't pick a side in that one either. I know that's going to piss off people on both sides, but it's like I see the evils that are happening. I'm not completely delusional. But in America, I can't even say that I don't agree with speech laws for a foreign country. And then I get in trouble. People try to give me a shakedown essentially when I say, hey, I believe in the First Amendment, and why is Trump and DeSantis and all these Republicans passing these speech laws to say you can't criticize Israel? That's weird. And then I get yelled at, and then the press yells at me and Republicans, and they're like, duh. So it's like you can't do anything in this country. It feels like our job as an American citizen is to just work so we can fork over money to foreign countries. We don't even have a say. We don't even have a border. I can't even believe in the First Amendment over a foreign country. I can't have a principled stance against foreign aid, because if we're spending tens or hundreds of billions of dollars over, that's going to affect American taxpayers. And there's never the question of our country's in debt. If we can print this money or go in further debt, why can't these countries go in debt themselves? Whether it's Ukraine or Israel, I don't know how their banking system works. I don't know the Israel GDP. And honestly, I have no idea how Ukraine works. But if America's tens of trillions of dollars or however much in debt we are, we don't have money. We're literally we're negative broke. So when we print money or go in further debt to send money to other countries or use taxpayer money that could be paying something else, we're going in debt to give these people money. Why can't they go in debt themselves? It would be like if your friend is $3 million in debt and you're $100,000 in debt and they borrow money to give you money. It's America, in my opinion, is just being robbed blind. And part of me feels like the only reason that people can't figure this out, besides the nonstop propaganda, would be the left-right paradigm, the false fight. If you got 3 boosters and wear your mask, then for some reason you think Ukraine, and you believe that side. And then if you're pro-Trump, you're a little more skeptical of Ukraine, yet almost the entire Congress is in on it. And he's on stage, not really it's this big kind of show where both sides are so addicted to political theater that nothing ever gets done. And there's always this false hope of the left thinks when they beat the right or something, they're going to get a prize. And the right thinks when their guy gets in, if he can even get in, that they're going to get a prize. And the truth is, no, it's not real. When will Americans wake up? When will the left stop playing this weirdo game? When will the right stop playing this weirdo game? At least the right's a little closer, at least they kind of understand. At least they want to move in the right direction sort of with this stuff. So some people, not all. It's just this jumbled mess where it's man, it's crazy. And then I saw a video today. I know this is a little off topic, but it is what it is. Gordon Ryan, who is a jiu-jitsu champion, he got his truck stolen from his driveway with ammunition in it, and a bunch of his neighbors had their guns and truck robbed. It's this is America now. Even if you have money, it's if you have a house, everyone's just getting robbed all the time in this country. We're literally getting robbed literally in the streets. I'm reading crazy stories that are happening to 15-year-old girls, people doing crazy, insane, disgusting, horrific stuff. And the border's wide open and we just have to throw money to a foreign country. That's all we have to do. It's there's no politician that's you know what, let's give a couple $1 billion to make the country safer. Let's try to do something. It's insane. Someone said you're on now. How is that even possible though? What did they do to my YouTube? What did they take? They took it down for 3 minutes. What, are they going to black out the clips? I don't even understand what they're going to do. And part of me too, this was kind of a ballsy move, but part of me wanted to stress test it because I know there is no copyright problem with Tucker. It would be them trying to shut the interview down. And it's one of those things where it's you kind of look crazy. If you're YouTube or you're Facebook and you don't allow that clip to be played, you look very crazy. You look very tyrannical. I'm not a Putin fanatic. Like there will be people that like are obsessed over the guy. I'm American. I'm not going to say I don't care what other world leaders are doing because it obviously somewhat matters, but my stance is not pro Russia or pro Putin. I'm pro America. And I just wanted to watch and look at the interview, and the fact that they're trying to shut that down while they claim to be so pro democracy or whatever is so telling. That's why I went live. That's why I wanted to kind of, launch it up and see what they did. And we'll see how long it lasts. And if I'll let you guys know, I mean, I'm not a huge, I don't want to play another clip. If they already, I had 1,300 people here. Now there's like 600. So clearly something's going on, but, I'll let you guys know if they try to take my income over this. I'm not a big victim or anything. I've got demonetized. I've got censored. I've had my TikTok deleted. I've had, multiple times where I've lost probably upwards of tens of thousands of dollars over censorship, but I've never asked anybody for anything besides if you want to subscribe. I'll let you guys know if they try to take my income over this because it would be kind of a big deal at this point. Can't really afford that right now, but it is an election season, and that's usually what they do during the election. I notice every 2 years, it's oh, we're going to cut your reach. And then as soon as the election's over, they're like, oh, never mind. It's we have different rules now. I see what they're doing. A little off topic as well, but I feel like that's why it's so important for truthers or conservatives or whoever you think you are or whoever you are to just be accurate and honest, right? If you want to beat fake news, you have to be honest. What I see out there a lot is a lot of people, they just hate the other side. And they're not honest and they lie a lot and they have terrible takes sometimes, but it's as long as I'm not them, I'm right. And it's it's creating this kind of havoc. I think the only way you could just, slice through like an arrow is just to be accurate and be honest and be as reasonable and fair as you can. When you have two sides that are both super fake, it's not really helping anything. Someone said with a super chat, I sent you a pic of what we were seeing on IG. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, it is what it is. I'm going to go until I can't go anymore, and then I'm going to see what they do. Someone said I got banned for commenting on Instagram on my page or someone else's page. Did they do something to my It's not the servers now. They suspended my stream for at least a couple minutes, so it's not. I'm reasonable. I don't play the victim. I'm not the boy who cried wolf, and that is one of my pet peeves because there's a lot of people like that. They're always crying. They're always saying they're shadow banned. I know for sure if I go from I know trends of people watching, people not watching. On YouTube, it's not going to go from YouTube and Facebook. It's not going to go from 1,100 down to 600. During a stream about this, that's not a normal trajectory. Once the numbers went down and everyone started commenting, it's shut down, it's shut down, it's shut down. I didn't see it at first, but I already know just from trends. If I lose hundreds of live viewers on a live stream instantaneously, it's because the stream literally got shut down, and I'm streaming to Facebook and YouTube. So this is how it's 100% for sure. Why don't I follow gematria? I mean, I'm not against patterns. I'm a pattern recognizer. I'm into numbers and math, but I don't really believe them, to be honest. And I think that they're arrogant, condescending, and just not as smart or honest as they think they are. So it's they're always talking about sports, and it's I don't think sports is 100% fair all the time or anything, but if they're so good at gematria, why don't they bet on sports? They always claim after something happens that they knew it was going to happen. Why didn't you bet at the beginning of the season? You had 20-1 odds on the Super Bowl champion, 10-1 odds. You could have won $1 million. They're always just waiting till something happens, and they're QAnon with numbers. They're look, 74654. I had one of these gematria weirdos message me, and he was dream rare, and he's adding up the numbers. He's you're in on it, and it's okay, psychopath, whatever you want to tell yourself. Let me see. If the servers were jammed, we wouldn't be seeing yeah, it has nothing to do with the servers right now. If the Tucker Carlson website went down, it might be the servers being jammed. But someone said I had to physically search for your live. It went down. It came back up. It's okay. We've cracked that code. First Amendment being crushed before our very eyes. Well, here's the issue with the First Amendment. I believe this, and maybe I'm naive, but if your side fully stands with something and you're being honest about it, I believe not only you have favor on your side, but you can get things done. The reason you're losing the First Amendment, it's not because the left is taking it from you. And yes, the left is taking it from you. The left is taking the First Amendment. They don't believe in it. They censor with crazy rules. But the left, I'm sorry, the right, they're all passing anti-First Amendment hate speech, anti-Semitism laws through government. And they're defining what anti-Semitism is. And it's 11 definitions. And they're pushing it through legislation. They're making a lot of conversation illegal, or they're trying to, and they're pushing it further and further and further. And it's Trump, it's DeSantis, it's Kemp, it's Youngkin, it's all of them. So you can't save the First Amendment while your favorite politicians are literally selling out the First Amendment. It's not possible. You had Trump versus DeSantis in this primary, and then Nikki Haley. They all do it. They all pass the same law. Why? If Trump is so different, if DeSantis is so different, because they're not different, and the base can't figure that out. So it's like the reason we lose all this stuff is because our side's not really trying. And it's so hard for people, especially grown men who think it's a football game. It's so hard for people to like fathom that like Trump and DeSantis wouldn't be totally helping them, but they're literally not. So, it is what it is at this point. People don't want to believe that that's true, but it's literally true. And it's literally happening. And every couple of weeks, it happens more and more and more and more. And nobody talks about it. And no Republican influencers cover it. So it's like, if you think you're going to save the First Amendment while your favorite politicians are selling it out and you don't have the brain or the balls to call it out, then it's controlled opposition. It doesn't matter. Like it's all like, it's all, in my opinion, almost like a staged show at this point. It's like Biden's too old. It's like they probably want to replace him. It would be smart for them to replace Joe Biden. They probably would win the election easier. And then on the right, every day is a new court case. Every day is a new judge. Every day is this and that. I guarantee you when it's all said and done, Trump will still be running. The judges will all be shut down. And you just wasted 8 months running in circles around Days of Our Lives, season Trump, the Alvin Bragg arrest. It's all going to probably go away. Nothing's going to happen. And then all these influencers are going to be like, yeah, we beat them. And it's like, no, the left beat you because they stole hundreds of millions of dollars from you. They made the people that follow Trump pay for the campaign legal fees. They wasted your time. They're making you talk about something that doesn't actually matter, that you're never going to talk about again. And I'm not saying that it doesn't deserve any attention, but it's like I see the game the left is playing and the whatever you want to call it, the global elites, and it's a shrewd game that I just don't think people understand. But someone said Michelle Obama. I mean, Michelle Obama would probably win the election by like 10 points, but I don't think it's gonna be Michelle Obama that's gonna run. I think they'd probably like put in someone else. I don't know who. Am I frozen? I don't know. If I'm frozen, just let it ride, I guess, and then we'll see. I wonder if they're gonna just chop out all the clips on YouTube. That would be interesting if they just chopped out all the Putin clips and like if they're so right and he's so wrong, why do they have to chop out the clips? Why do they have to censor it? I don't understand. It's not like a big deal. He's just talking. Like every leader talks. Everyone in the world, they all talk. They talk. This person talks. Al Qaeda talk. Like it's like, why do they have to censor everything? Someone said your news analysis is great. I would like to see you analyze other things. Appreciate you. Someone said conservatives love to boycott Target, NFL, and that's their entire focus. Then it's over. Well, the NFL boycott would probably be more effective if everyone listened, but the NFL is entertaining and people are just bored. So with the Bud Light boycott, I talked about it a little bit there. I know it's kind of like sad for Bud Light because Bud Light is taking all the heat for what everyone's doing. Like everyone was doing that, but like Bud Light especially ticked off people and just like bad timing. And then everybody was boycotting it. And even though it's probably not fair to just like blame Bud Light for all that, they were being held example, and it kind of was an example to every other company, like don't go there. And maybe the message got through, but it's like, oh, they were really screwed because like everyone was like, nah, screw them. And their brand just got so destroyed that so many conservatives and patriots like didn't want to drink it anymore and said it was gay. So then it's like, what do they do in order to win people back? Besides do like Peyton Manning commercials. They paid Dana White. Like Dana White doesn't care about Bud Light or beer or whatever, but it's like, I think they paid the UFC $100 million. So then Dana White comes out and he says, drink gallons of Bud Light. And then Kid Rock, who's friends with them, says, all right, lay off the Bud Light boycott. And then Trump, who has $5 million of stock allegedly in Anheuser-Busch and literally just met with an Anheuser-Busch lobbyist. And then he comes out and says, hey, boycott's over, boys. So I'm just letting people know it's like the alpha males at the top got paid. Everyone's like, but they didn't apologize. Well, alpha male Dana White got paid and he's telling you guys to shut up now. And he's like, you don't need an apology because he got an apology. You know, Trump doesn't want an apology because his apology is getting lobbying money and owning stock in the company. So it's like, you know, they look at you guys like, I'm not trying to be rude, but like kind of like they're little puppy dogs. Like the alpha males at the top, they say, hey, boycott's over, boys. But we didn't get an apology. We got an apology. Our bank accounts got an apology. You don't get an apology, little boys. You just come to our rallies and wear our hats, and that's all you guys do. You don't get an apology. So it's kind of condescending, in my opinion, that these leaders at the top, they got the Bud Light reparations. They got paid. They got it. But then they just expect their supporters to just lay off it because they're profiting off it. It's very like sellouty. Like if I took $100 million from Bud Light and I was like, boycott's over, boys, drink gallons, everyone would call me a sellout. When Dana does it, I'm like, I get it, whatever, you know, and then it's like everyone falls in line. Trump says it's off. It's just interesting. It's like, I get the dynamic of the situation. They got paid and, you know, now they want you to shut up. But I think that kind of shows you how politics works. It's like the alpha dogs at the top, they get all the money and then they just kind of like control their base. It's like, with Trump, still nobody knows this because nobody will report it. Trump took $1 million donation from Pfizer and then he hired pharmacy lobbyists and he went from someone who's a skeptic to a full-blown salesman. Trump sold out. You know, $1 million isn't a lot for Trump, but it's still something. When you add up all the millions he took, it's hundreds of millions of dollars. So he's not trying to use $100 million of his own money. That's why he gets you to pay his legal fees. That's why he gets Pfizer to pay for his, inauguration. Like that's why Bank of America pays for it. That's why a mega donor, paid $5 or $10 million towards his inauguration and then gave 5, 10, 20, 50, $100 million more to the GOP. It's like they have donors. They have a price. It's just people need to, this is just my opinion. That's based on literally everything. People, it's not that you need to hate these people, but you need to understand politicians are like professional, financial prostitutes, you know? Trump is the same thing. So you got to view them as your leader, but also understand that they're middlemen who take lots of money. So your leverage comes in the tune of like you being able to figure out that they're doing it. But I feel like they just take advantage of their own people. They're like, boycott's over, boys. It's like, we didn't get an apology. And then Dana says, you're never getting an apology. Yeah, but that's kind of messed up. Like, I like Dana White. I think he's the best CEO in sports, modern sports history. I love Dana White. I'm just saying, it's kind of douchey for him to be like, drink gallons of Bud Light. And then in an interview I watch, because I watch a lot of UFC interviews, he goes, you're not getting an apology. Just forget it. You got the apology. You don't care that, like, if they didn't give you $100 million or whatever, you wouldn't be feeling that way. So it's like they suck up all the money for themselves and their corporations. And then they're like, boycott's over, boys. Don't you dummies expect an apology. I got an apology. So you don't need an apology. Like, dude, it's kind of like I'm not like beta enough to like fall for that stuff, you know? Like I feel like if you're like a true alpha or you're like a true man, you see through that and you're like, wait, why did you get all the money and I didn't? I'm not jealous either. It's just like, I'm not going to listen to someone who says you don't deserve an apology. It's like, but you got an apology in your bank account. Why did you deserve an apology? Like that's what them giving you the money was. It was them getting a man who has a lot of conservative fans to push the brand, which if he would have signed with Coors Light and they would have paid him $100 million or whatever, he would have said Coors Light's the best beer. It's like, it is what it is. It's just, I noticed that stuff. How about the RNC going broke because they're spending a lot of stuff on cocktails and limo rides? Yeah, I reported that yesterday, but anytime I do videos like that, they get like a couple thousand views. I do these long, unnecessary live streams and they get way more views. So I'm going to just do this, I guess. But yeah, I showed that story from the red state, how they showed the Democrat and Republican spending, and Republicans are just spending like 100-something thousand on limos with your campaign donations. Listen, if people want to ride limos, but like do it with money that you made, not like people are donating to try to win elections, not like let you get to Mar-a-Lago in a limo. But I mean, I get it. I like to ride lavish. I'm not a limo guy, but I'm definitely like premium Uber or something if I can. If it's too expensive, I'll go with like an XL, extra, it's not that expensive, but at least you get like a big SUV, not like a nice one. Sometimes it's a shitty one, but it's whatever. Still get you there. But I'm not like running for office. I don't run a nonprofit. I'm not doing that. Someone said, you could tell when a guy says I'm not jealous what he is. I mean, you could say that. Also, I could say this. You could tell a super like beta male when he says stuff like that. Like all the guys, I've noticed a pattern on Twitter. Like anytime I say something, I don't care that people disagree, but the guys that are always so like snarky with their replies, like they're always like, like that's the energy of it. Like I'm like, this is what I believe. I'm gonna just say it. I'm not asking people to agree. Sometimes people make fun of me and it's actually funny. Like someone was like, you and Theo Vaughn don't even have kids. And it was like shitting on me. And I was like, it's a valid point. Like we both don't have kids, like if someone's going to talk shit, if you're good at it, I'll be like, you're not wrong, So I was like, that's a well done, like shit talk. But like other people where they're like, me. And it's like, shut up. You're like, they're like, and I was like, I get it. You're that guy. And there's 3 patterns that it's probably happened to me hundreds of times. And there's, if you, one of these 3 things is always true to a rate of like 99%. I'm not kidding. They're either retweeting Cat Turd and Benny Johnson within their last 10 retweets, or they have their favorite sports team in the bio. I like sports. I watch sports. I'm a sports fan, but I don't have my favorite sports team in the bio. I have a business. I have a career. It's not my sports team. It's not my personality, but I do like sports and I'll talk about it all I want. I enjoy them. With that being said, it's like the last 4 guys to say something like snarky to me on Twitter, they all have their favorite sports team in the bio. Like, I don't know what that is. They're like professional fans. So if I'm like, don't be a fan of a politician, and like, but I wanna, it's like, then stop, It's not like jealousy. It's just the reality of it. It's like, I'm jealous of Republicans because I don't pass speech laws. Do you guys think I couldn't be a politician if I didn't want to be? You don't think I could win in one of these states? Of course I could. I just don't want to. I mean, I don't want to be a politician, but also it's not like me liking the First Amendment means I'm jealous of Ron DeSantis. Oh, you wish you could fly over to Israel and pass a speech law that goes against the First Amendment. I don't, though. That's not jealousy. It's just, I just disagree with that, but it's whatever. Someone said they're keyboard warriors. Everyone's got an opinion. Everyone's got a keyboard. I mean, that's equality, right? I'm not mad that people have an opinion, but I'm just saying it's like the snarky like guy that's like me, and I'm like, you're why the country is the way it is, because you're so like corny, It's like, but I want to just make dumb excuses for things. It's like, cool, bro, like great, awesome, congrats. For the governor of California, yeah, I would not win. I don't think this country's ready for a conservative for whatever reason. I mean, this state, not this country. Let me read some comments. Someone said, I'm only watching whatever good clips I see on X. I'm not watching 2 hours with that computer voice. Yeah, it is annoying having the translator, but it is what it is. Like, Putin doesn't speak English. It's like, learn English, Putin. You're so lame. Like, oh, he's talking. It's like, what are you saying, bro? Speak English. We can't hear you. He's Russian. It is what it is. What did Governor Youngkin do? One of the first executive orders he passed was to redefine anti-Semitism into law and create a list of phrases that are now considered anti-Semitic by law. Republicans are passing hate speech laws into legislation to make it illegal to say that anyone has dual loyalty, to make it illegal to criticize Israel more than other nations, to make it illegal to talk about who might have killed Jesus, or who, allegedly, according to the Bible. Like, the Bible is now illegal in certain areas, and they'll say it's not because they're still Christian, but in legislation they're passing laws that make part of the Bible anti-Semitic. It would be like passing a homophobic law to say, like, you can't say that Jesus said that. It's like, what? But he said, but that was said there. It's not. You don't have to agree with it, but why do you have to pass a law against that phrase? They're passing laws against phrases. They're creating hate speech laws. All the Republicans are in on it. But their audience, no offense, is either too dumb or too distracted by, like, look at the court case to figure this stuff out. It's like low-level theater at this point. I know I could be a little nicer. Someone said that it's not okay, Youngin. Not okay. It is okay though, because they all do it. Nothing ever happens. No one ever cares. No one ever says anything. And not a single Republican journalist will push back on it or ask a question. So it is okay because there's nothing no one does about it. Like, why I don't, with me, it's like if people can't notice this stuff and talk about it, I don't care about listening to them. That's why once you see this stuff, you're like, you watch like a Michael Knowles or something, and he'll be like, the trans, that we get it, bro. Trans sports are crazy. They're doing weird stuff to kids, but like you just talk about that in a loop to like put people in a spell where it's like, we get it. That's important. I'm glad you brought it up. I'm glad you're on the right side of history, but why don't you talk about what the Republicans are doing? It's all like the left brainwashing, you know? That's like 95% of Republicans. I'm not trying to pick on Michael Knowles, but he just reminds me of some like generic guy who just says like generic stuff all the time. And for whatever reason, people listen to it. Like, you know, or it's like I log into Twitter and it's like, wow, the judge said this today with the Trump and the Trump did the Trump. It's like, cool. You know, we've heard that story 1,000 times. Someone said no hate speech laws. Trump passed it through executive order. DeSantis passed it in with 3 different bills. Youngkin did it. Kemp did it. They all do it. That's who they are. It's what they do. And I don't know if conservative influencers, they might be afraid of saying something because the media goes crazy on you. They like literally go nuts. So maybe people are afraid or something. Let me see. I'm gonna read a few more and I'm gonna keep this under an hour. Thanks for being here. Who knows if this stream's gonna last? Should I try to upload it on Spotify and Apple? I don't know. Are they gonna like go crazy? Like, are they gonna destroy my page or something? To me, I didn't even think that deeply about this. I knew like it could be bad to post or something, but I was like, are they really gonna do that and look crazy? Like cut an interview? It was, from what I've seen, I mean, like it's not like Tucker just rolled out the red carpet for him. He pushed back from what I saw. He asked questions. Like it was a good interview. Do I listen to mock No, I don't know who that is. Someone said, sup, poly people? What do you think? This is like a polyamorous hangout, bro? Are you sure? Are you sure you came to the right stream? I think you meant to type in furry convention, you know? You're like, what's up, my polyamorous people? Who's here to just make love? And it's like, bro, are you sure you came to the wrong? You're like, oh, my bad. I thought I was on a different page. You're like, embarrassing. It's not a polyamorous convention. Just kidding. Actually, I'm serious. It's not. Go away. I'm just kidding. You could say. Maybe you were joking. There's a joke by Sebastian Maniscalco. He has this I forget what it's called. It's called Aren't You Embarrassed? He's like, aren't you embarrassed? It's so funny. But it's from 2015 and it ages so well. Like everything he said is still true. But he talks about, he was like, if you were a weirdo and dressed up as a baby, he's like, you used to just do that in your house. He's like, now, he's like, if you want to dress up as a baby, he's like, you just Google it. And next thing you know, they're down the street in a Marriott, you know, thousands of people dressing up like babies. It's like, you know, that's so true though. It's like back in the day, if you had like a weird fetish like that, you just kept it to yourself and just found someone weird enough to do it. Like now you're like, let me take this to the Marriott hotel. It's like, why do you have to do that? Can't you not do that? It's kind of weird. Please don't stop, said Elisha, with informative lies. It informs our future leaders. Thank you. Hotep said hello, and you should go to the Grifties. They're doing it in person. I don't feel like flying. I'd have to fly like 4 hours to go, but you know, I support the Grifty Awards. It would be fun to be there, but yeah, I don't feel like doing like a 10-hour round trip flight just to go to the Grifty Awards. You know, tell Hotep it's not worth it. You know, they got to get their money up. If they want me to do a 10-hour flight, he's got to, you know, get his bread up to hire me. But if I would do it for free, if it was like fitting into my schedule, I'm just kidding. I wouldn't charge him for it. But to make like, I think it would be like a 11-hour round trip flight. Like, come on, get your bread up, Hoteps. We need a Hotep bank transfer. That's what we need. Someone said very few things left in this world that are pure, good, and joyful. There's still a lot of joyful stuff. You know, you just got to type in like, you know, 2 bunnies hopping around or something, you know, and then you just go on YouTube and they're just like, eh, and you're like, oh, that restores my faith. And then you walk out and someone says, get the out of my way. And then you're like, oh man, now I don't know. You'll figure it out. Please do an entire stream on how Trump is a rhino neocon liberal. I think I've said enough about Trump. I think, you know, I don't think my streams have been lacking in my criticism. most would say that I do too much, you know. But it is what it is. Someone said I could bankroll you because I think you're good for the cause. You want to pay me to go to the Grifty Awards? I mean, how much are you trying to pay me? Let's do a public deal right here for everyone to see. How much? Because I really don't feel like flying 11 hours right now, especially with all the weird things happening to the planes. Like, I'll fly. I'm not afraid. It's just like, I don't, you gotta really, how much is it? How much is what? How much is my rate to get me to go to the Grifty Awards to fly 11 hours? More than you're probably willing to pay. So let's just not do it. You got coupons? What is this? A Pavilions? You at ShopRite or something? You at Ralph's? I'm trying to name every place. You at Sheets? I'm trying to, because everywhere has their own supermarket. So I'm trying to like make it relatable to you. Because if you're in the middle of like Texas, you don't even know what I'm talking about. But you got ShopRite, you got Sheets, you got Pavilions, you got what's like Ralph's. I'm trying to think of the other name for Ralph's. They have another name for it sometimes. Someone said you sound a little afraid. I sound afraid of what? It's not fun for me to fly 11 hours. Like, I want to fly 11 hours for things I want to do. I'm not trying to fly 11 hours to go to an event that I don't care about that much for free. That's not what I want to do. I'm not afraid to fly, but it's like, I want to make it worth it. My rate's up. I make power moves out here. No, but I fly to see my family for free all the time. It's just like, I don't feel like flying to go to Hotep's award show right now. If it fit in my schedule, I'd go for free. I'm willing to send a messenger. Why do you want me to go to that award show so bad? Now you're sketching me out. Now I don't want to go. It's not a big deal. I told him I could like zoom in or something. Do a Zoom call. I'm like that blank from A-Team. I don't know. What's the guy's name? Mr. T? Are you saying I'm like Mr. T? Anomaly making money moves? I mean, I'm trying. Someone said airports are like nightmares. Thank you. Airports are definitely weird nowadays. Like, I walked into one airport and something's a little off. Like, I don't know if it's from all the illegal immigration they're doing or something, but like something just seemed off. Everything seems off. But I like to fly. I don't mind it. It's like when January 6th was going on and people were like, "Are you going?" It's like, to fly 11 hours. Like, why? Like, I don't want to hang out with you guys. I don't want to march in the streets. Like, I'm not an activist. I'm not trying to be like, "Woo, the Mike Pence." Like, it's like, pass, like, who wants to fly 11 hours to like march in the streets with you guys? No, I'm just kidding. But, it's like, it's got to be worth a round trip. Like, to me, flying 11 hours to yell in the streets about Mike Pence was not worth it. Thank God I had that mindset, because it's like, nah. Trump selling vaccines. Everyone's like yelling about Linwood. It's like something's just off for me. Pick your chin up. How's that? Did I run through the clips? Yeah, we'll see if they stay up. I only got 2 minutes because I want to keep this under an hour. That's just where I'm at. Thank you guys for being here. Appreciate you, but I'm gonna take it off. Sorry, my eye contact is so shitty on here too. It's like I gotta read the comments and like produce the show. I just noticed I look a little shifty, like when I do my stream, like, because eye contact, like in person and stuff, like you could tell a lot based on someone's like flow. But like when I'm live, I look real shifty because I'm like because I'm like producing the show as well. Most people have producers and they just get to like talk to the camera. Me, I'm like just looking at like 15,000 things. 3-hour stream not happening today. I'm kind of tired. I want to like work out or something. Shifty Swifty. I'm a Swifty for sure, dude. Taylor Swift, like, it's like Taylor Swift, then Trump, and then Ted Cruz, and then Kamala Harris. I just like all the boys. Like, I'm a bipartisan fan. I like Taylor Swift. Travis Kelce's cool. Patrick Mahomes is cool. Trump's cool. I like Trump and Biden. I like, can we all just get along and go to a Taylor Swift concert? I would be totally fine with sitting next to Trump and Joe Biden, on both sides of the Taylor Swift concert. What's wrong with that? That's when America will be set free. And then they'll all be singing Shake It Off, and, and then world peace will come. Or another bipartisan $100 billion foreign aid deal to countries. And then they'll call you racist if you disagree. Appreciate you guys. God bless you. Hopefully there's no crazy penalty on my channel from this interview. I thought I was going to have fun doing it, but we'll see what YouTube has in store. Thank you guys for watching. I'll be back soon, and I'll not talk about this interview. I've learned my lesson. I'm so sorry. But yeah, it is available at Tucker's website, and I'm going to listen to it in full later today. Hopefully you enjoyed that. See you guys. Hey, what's going on, my friends? Just a few ways to stay in touch and support if you'd like to. The first way is dreamrare.com. We have blue beanies, black beanies, pink hats, other colored hats, freedom versus tyranny shirts, stay blessed long sleeve, God is great long sleeve, and lots of more cool items.